Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Random. Egberto Willis, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. As usual, how are my peeps doing? I trust everybody's doing okay, but everybody must be off for Thanksgiving. Or rather, a lot of people are off for Thanksgiving because we're kind of scarce, folks. We're kind of scarce, but we have la número uno en el cuarto, who is Yvette Avery Herod. La Preciosa. Thank you so kindly for being here, Yvette. We also have Michael Rudden from Brooklyn, New York. Yvette, by the way, is from Atlanta, Georgia. Michael Rudden from Brooklyn, New York. And we have, of course, Paul Fleming from Powder Springs, Georgia. And Eric Hayes from Tascasita, Kingwood, Texas. All right. How are you guys doing today? I trust everybody's doing fine. Well, Michael has a few readings here. He says, Washington Post, Mexico vows to retaliate if Trump imposes 25% tariff. 25% tariff on Mexico means that everything we buy from that nation is going to be increased in price. My guess is that most people immediately think of fruits and tequila, but Mexico's biggest export to the United States are actually electronics, computers, cars, and plastics, as they have a strong industrial manufacturing sector. Ha 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 ha. So it will be contributing to inflation. Let's see if the media covers the inflation story that's going to occur, assuming Trump goes through with his tariff. Let's see if the mainstream media is going to cover the inflation story the way they covered it with Biden. Even though Biden wasn't responsible for the inflation, it was really Trump plus the corporatocracies and their horrendous policies towards supply chain, among others. All right, Politico by Michael Rudden again. This is the new progressive strategy for warring with Trump. Progressive Democrats wrestling with how to navigate a second Donald Trump presidency are settling on a new approach. Take his populist working class proposal at his word, or at least pretend to. If he succeeds, they can take some credit for bringing him to the table. If he doesn't, they can bash him for it. While acknowledging that Trump's true goals are to enrich himself while furthering the interests of the billionaire class, Trump made several campaign promises to reduce defense spending, lower credit card interest rates, enforce antitrust laws, federal funding for IVF treatments, note, not likely under Project 2025's federal abortion ban, health and Medicare and Social Security. Again, these will be gutted by Project 2025 and Trump's previous record of trying to privatize entitlements. The real question, should we progressives work with Trump to push his popular campaign promises? No, look, we let them govern. America elected a Republican Senate, a Republican House, and a Republican president. They do not need the help of any Democrat. What Democrats need to do is, when they need a vote for cloture in the Senate, give them cloture. Let their policies come to pass. Let their policies come to pass. Let America get what they elected. I know it's only a 1.5% or so margin of victory, but give them. We don't have to work with Trump at all. We don't. They own everything. They own the Senate, they own the House, and they own the presidency. So they can complete and fulfill everything that they want to fulfill, just like Biden did in his first 2 years. Biden got just about everything he wanted, minus some of the ridiculous stuff from cinema and Manchin. But for all practical purposes, he got the IRA, he got the CHIPS bill, he got the infrastructure bill, he got everything, right? So let's be clear here. Let Trump go ahead and produce what he told Americans he was going to do for them, and let Americans see what they vote for. The truth of the matter is, they didn't know what the hell they were voting for because Trump wasn't telling them much. Only Kamala was telling them what they were getting. And the interesting things, the things that Kamala said that they wanted, It's what most Americans say that they wanted. So, hey, let America have what they voted for. And let's see how much they like it. Because we know that they won't, because we know what he stands for. In fact, that is what we are all about today, right? Today's topic it's called Progressive Media is in Trouble. That's the first video I'm going to play, first and only video I'm going to play. It's a long video. And the other is the billionaires will be in control of our government. We know that. Nosotros sabemos que los billonarios van a controlar todo. We know that the billionaires are going to run everything, so we let them run it. And let Americans see that, they want to vote Republican because a lot of them were sexist and racist. And they thought, or they believe, well, the Democrats will save them along with the sensible Republicans. To which I tell Democrats, look, let me explain something here. If Democrats help, the Republicans and to pass good law, and that good law gets passed, then at the end of the term, the Republicans that didn't help are going to take credit for all the good stuff and get reelected, which will be a clear and present danger to our society. If it fails, they will accuse the Democrats of being a part of the failure. So absolutely not. Every Democrat in the Senate must allow cloture. Cloture means for any bill that requires 60 votes, give them their 60 votes. And after you give them their 60 votes, you say no to everything else. Let them pass it with sole Republican votes because they have it 53-47 in the Senate, and they will have about a vote or two in the House. Let them do it. All right, Egberto, racism and sexism were a factor in the election for sure, but the economic pain for the post-pandemic economic was all no. That's as Professor Eddie Glaude would say, that's gaslighting that has reached the mainstream. That is gaslighting. And let me explain why, with respect, my brother Radnin, with respect, but that is gaslighting. Let me explain. If you take a look at how people are spending, yes, inflation is high. And yes, there's a small sect of our population that is simply downtrodden. They're poor, they can't get by, or whatever. That's true. But the majority of Americans are spending like there is no tomorrow. They're spending, they're going out to eat, they're going on vacations. The cruise lines have already said they don't have to give discounts. And you know why they don't have to give discounts? They don't have to give discounts because Americans are spending. If these people were in hard times, Americans would not be spending the way they are. They wouldn't be doing the things that they're doing today. And therefore, if you take, and let me give, I also try to point out, all the underlings are probative. Kamala lost North Carolina. Every single major Democrat in North Carolina won. Not by a little, but compared to her, by a substantial margin. I repeat, Kamala in North Carolina lost the vote. All the Democratic candidates won, except for the controller, I think it was, and that was a close election as well. So no, I am not going to give people a pass on this one. I had to look at the numbers before I came out absolutely and said Kamala fracasó because of racism plus sexism, the double whammy. It's not the economy. We also look at those people who have 401ks, and not the majority does, but those who have 401ks through the roof. They didn't vote for Kamala. This Kamala lost, again, the election. I'm not going to call it a contributing factor. Kamala Harris lost solely because of her sex and her race. Because with all the those who have economic angst, etc., that would not be enough for her to lose the election. And the probative are all the people that outperformed her in the states, in Michigan, in Wisconsin, in all these other places. Now, Michael says, Egberto, if racism and sexism were the prevailing factor, then Democrats won't be able to run a woman or minority again for decades. I agree. I mean, you're right. One of the reasons I do what I do, and look, brother, you're absolutely right, my dear Radnin. One of the reasons I do what I'm doing is look, when we gaslight and talk about the election has to do with the economy, we stop Americans from having to go ahead and look within their own hearts until we get smart, until we get honest and talk about the real issue of race and sex, and keep talking about these other issues about economy and all of that, we are going to be on the wrong side of history. Let me see if I can find. Let me see. Let me go ahead and take this off the screen for now. All right. Let's do this. I need to find where Eddie Glaude was very honest. Let's see if I can find it. Eddie, where are you, Eddie Glaude? Come on, Eddie. I need to find your work. Because I tell you, we have to be honest. And when we get honest, then we can make the changes that you're talking about, Brother Radnin. But we have to be honest. I think this is the one. Let's see if this is the one. Here we go.
The working class.
Here it is.
Democrats need to speak to the working class. It just pisses.
I need to get. Oh, sorry. I gotta hold on a second. I gotta get the microphone situation set. Let me see if I can do that. I believe I have to go in here and go to here and set this to. What do I need to set this to? I probably need to go map it. That's what I probably need to do. Let's go ahead and map that and map the Chrome window. I think the Chrome window is already mapped to track 3, I believe. This stuff sometimes behooves me. Let's see if that does it. Was that sound not coming through at all, folks? Is that what you're saying? That sound didn't come through at all? I need an answer because I thought that I saw it going through. So let me know, guys, if you heard any of Eddie Glaude at all, because I think I saw the sound going through, but I think you guys are telling me that you didn't hear the sound. Oh, okay. Well, let me do one other test here because I want you guys to I want you guys to hear this because it's important. Bear with me one second. I think let's see, Windows Chrome track. I am going to do it right now. Bear with me one quick second. Okay, let's see what I'm going to do here. Where is it? I need to go to the window help. I need to also go to the mixer, audio mixer. Let's see if the audio mixer was all screwed up. All right, let's see. I get onto track 3. That comes to the headphone only, but I need to put that onto track 1. Let me see if this does it. Bear with me, guys, and forgive me for this, but I'm going to try putting it onto track 1 and let's see if this works now. And I want you guys to tell me early on if it worked this time. All right.
Democrats need to speak to the working class, and it just pisses me off.
It's condescending, it's offensive, and it's gaslighting on a certain level. I mean, the Democratic Party has been leaking support by the white working class, and that's who they're really talking about. White working class for generations. Have we forgotten, as I said on Morning Joe this morning, right? Have we forgotten that about the hard hat riot in 1970? As hard-working folk attacked anti-war protesters? Have we forgotten about the forgotten Americans that Nixon appealed to? Huh? Have we forgotten about the Reagan Democrats? Have we forgotten about the Democratic Leadership Council's explicit effort to distance itself from its base, to distance itself from unions, to distance itself from black folk? The Democrats need to speak to the working class. And it just pisses me off. It's condescending. It's offensive.
So that's what I wanted you guys to see, because again, I wanted to see the numbers before, and you notice right after the election, I didn't just say that it was race or gender. I didn't do that right after the election, and the reason I didn't do that right after the election is I wanted to be sure. I wanted to look at other races, okay? I wanted to see how things came about. I wanted to have a comparative analysis. And after that comparative analysis, we've better be honest. And Michael Rudden, I take homage to what you just said, because what you just said is important. You just said, let me get to AVQ. AVQ says, oh God, where is it? Welcome, Melanie Keelan from Barcelona, Spain. Egberto, if racism and sexism were the prevalent factor, then Democrats won't be able to run a woman or minority again for decades. No, the combination is woman minority. It is black woman. Okay? Hillary Clinton, under the right conditions, will win. Remember, Hillary lost by 40,000 votes, and that was a part of the negligence of not really stoking the vote in Michigan, in Milwaukee, and in Detroit, Milwaukee, and and what's the other one? And Philadelphia. Okay, but that problem could be solved. That was only a differential of 40,000 votes. Kamala lost the Electoral College by 200,000 votes, but forget that. She also lost the popular vote, which is scary under this type of condition. So yeah, I get you, Michael Rutnin. If we keep gaslighting about, oh, this is because of economic issues, then that'll be the case. When we force people to confront their prejudices, we feel the pain and the hurt once and for all. To some, to enough. And they said, my God, I have to look inwardly. It's the same thing I had to do personally to get rid of my own prejudices. That is what America has to do. Tommy Cruz says she lost because she ran on abortion and identity politics. Not at all. Again, all the people that did that won. Okay? Not only did that win, but there are people who went ahead and voted for the abortion bills and voted against her. So all of those theories, Tommy Cruz, are false, and provably so. They're false. Kamala lost because of racism and sexism. And we have to be honest with it, and we just got to speak it. And people need to understand that they put themselves in economic danger because of their own prejudice and because of their own sexism. Michael Egberto, Trump offered a fall populist approach. The immigrants are your problem. The trans people are your problem. All lies. It's never people who have less political power than you who are the cause of your problems. Exactly. But you know what? That message didn't work in 2000. Remember, Donald Trump in 2000 had the same immigration issue. In fact, it was worse. Remember the caravan coming? And Donald Trump was going to be the one stopping the caravan in 2020. We have to remember history. Donald Trump, and immediately after the election, there was no caravan. But Donald Trump had Fox News and everybody following the caravan of all these invaders coming to America. It didn't work then. It didn't work then. Biden won by 7 million votes plus. No, brother, we have to take and accept the reality. Yes, America is a very racist and sexist country, and enough of America is racist and sexist, and that combined for Kamala was lethal. Anyway, the other topic today is that the progressive media is in trouble under Trump. Want you to listen to the narrative that I gave at KPFT a couple of days ago. It didn't go as many of us wanted. It went the way some wanted as far as our elections are concerned. But the dangers are there. The dangers are there. As an educational institution, KPFT is designated to tell you the things that are occurring. And right now, our media is in trouble. Good morning to Anna Hart from Washington State. And good morning to Gayla Kunis from Georgia. Great to have you here in the chat as well. By the way, folks, and I'm going to put this in the chat, my Blue Sky, I've also started my migration to the Blue Sky. Blue Sky is the alternative to Twitter. And what we want to do is make sure to get that baby well populated. So I am going to put in the chat my Blue Sky address, and that is at egbertowillies.bsky.social. Again, my call on Blue Sky is at Egberto Willies, all one word. Good morning, Paul Fleming from from Powder Springs, Georgia. Welcome to the program. Anyway, we're going to start today with what's happening in the media. A few days ago, our good friend Tom Hartman wrote a piece called "Will Trump's Return Coincide with the Death of Progressive Media?" We all must support and share with our friends those outlets where we find useful news and information. If we fail to do so, America's media landscape may soon mirror those of autocratic nations the incoming president so admires. A lot of times people don't understand how serious things are until they're upon us and there's no return. Unfortunately, when you are being indoctrinated, the procedures are very well founded. It's called normalization. Imagine 15 years ago, somebody with the qualifications of Donald Trump, someone that did the things that Donald Trump have done, both to women, both legally, economically, etc. Somebody like that wouldn't stand a chance of ever being elected. However, you start having normalization. You slowly change what is right. You slowly change what is acceptable, an inch at a time. Or you make something so outlandish a one-time success that people start to think about it as normal. Then you can get away with just about anything. And that is kind of where we are right now. Again, I mentioned this ad nauseum. Having re-elected a thug, having re-elected a person a judge referred to as a rapist after having been found liable for sexual assault, someone who has robbed the salaries of his employees, someone who has left contractors that built his building unpaid and threatened with lawsuits, someone who has stolen from, and all of these things are not conjecture, these things are fact. But that in the past, just one of those things happening, grabbing onto women's parts, just one of those things in the past would have disqualified anyone from the presidency. But normalization has occurred. We have normalized that is okay, and that is no longer something that stops you from being able to be president. And in doing so, then what's next? We've elected him. The degeneracy of the population, and that's the only way we can look at it, the degeneracy of the population that normalization has created. And you have to ask yourself an important question. How far will this go? How far will be the normalization of evil go? Because as it goes far, you remember Donald Trump in his past rallies would tell people just go ahead and beat him up on the head or knock his head or whatever. And it's okay. Normalization. Well, the normalization is also aided by our media. I'm talking specifically of right-wing media. A media that once believed or would preach that the things Donald Trump has done made you unacceptable for higher office. But who normalized it? Who eventually said, it is okay? People, I ask thee, when does it end? How far does it go? Well, Tom Hartman's piece is a good start. He said, have you heard of that Comcast is planning to sell MSNBC? Is Rupert Murdoch planning to buy it? Will America's media landscape soon resemble those of Hungary and Russia? Without the right-wing media juggernaut, Donald Trump probably wouldn't be president next year and wouldn't have won in 2016. That said, the progressive media landscape looks like it might be about to get a whole lot worse. Comcast, which owns NBC and its subsidiaries, CNBC and MSNBC, among other media outlets, announced this week that they'll be, and that's last week, that they'll be spinning off MSNBC among others next year, and the consequences are already showing up. It was reported last week that Rachel Maddow just took a substantial annual pay cut because of the uncertain future of the network. In part, this probably reflects a belt tightening at Comcast, but it is also an indication of how legacy media, which now includes cable properties, are taking a hit from newer digital media, from social media to podcasts to web-based network programs. In part, this probably reflects a belt tightening, yeah, but the principal analyst and VP of content for market research company eMarketer, Paul Verna, told the AP that the writing is on the wall, that cable TV business is a dwindling business, and the AP noted is predicting future consolidation of the networks or acquisition through private equity. You see, these guys can all be profitable, but if they're not profitably growing exponentially, they're unloaded to the next thing that can be to the next organization or the next entity from which we can extract. Private equity like Bain Capital and large media operations acquisitions have long history of gutting media properties to increase their profitability. Yes, to increase their profitability, they've done that. Air America Radio, for which Tom Hartman, he actually wrote the business plan, and which carried his program, was on the air in virtually every major market in the United States, having leased over 50 major high-powered stations. But he actually used to beat Rush Limbaugh in a lot of times. But Air America kept losing station after station as they changed their programming, mostly to right-wing programming. And here we are, the election of a president sanctioned by the right wing. Musk, of course, will be in charge of identifying those parts of government or institutions funded by the government, which means pretty much goodbye to NPR. NPR, which many like to call progressive, far from it, but like many call it progressive, will likely be defunded and dependent on external sources of funding. And likely those external forces will probably change its type of programming, which is the true, fair, and balanced. Anyway, right-wing billionaires brought us Fox News, Sinclair, two other web and cable-based right-wing TV stations, channels, nationwide networks of hate radio, now also in Spanish. People are wondering, how comes the Latino folks are jumping to the right? Well, mostly Latino men jumping to the right. Well, guess what? Yeah. And I've been talking about this for several months now. Right-wing media is saturated with hate radio paid for by the billionaires. So when Democrats sat down and kept on talking about demographic is our answer, demographics is our answer, a nurtured demographic is no answer. An unnurtured demographic is no answer, because the right is always there and ready to nurture that demographic. And guess what the right is doing right now? They have successfully entered the Spanish market. And in so doing, I ask everyone here, please go listen to Spanish radio. Go listen to the ads on Spanish radio. And you see where we're heading, folks. Lack of investment of the left, while the right continues to invest in your minds. not to mention the entire network of billionaire-funded, hard, right, phony, pink slime newspapers that pop up around the country every election year. Tens of millions of dollars in subsidies to right-wing podcast hosts. Think about this. Grogan, 6 years ago, was speaking about Medicare for all. He was speaking about healthcare. He was speaking about education for kids. Grogan sounded like a left-winger 6 years ago. I don't have the time to play a 10-minute piece that one of my PDR Posse members on 3 o'clock sent me. And Johnny, I'm coming to you in a minute. But Rogan, he was actually promoting a Medicare for all then. What happened? Again, who are his funders now? Who is funding these operations? I told you guys last week, Politics Done Right, as an independent media organization, mostly with the progressive left, got offers to switch from the progressive information that I put out there to just become a right-wing stooge. Money, dinero, plata, capital. And I looked and I said, you know what is funny? At the stage in my life where I gave up my engineering company, my software development company to do activism, because I thought I found a way after my bills were all paid to go ahead and invest the good fortune that America has brought into progressive activism to ensure that everybody had that opportunity to move forward. But at a time at the lowest, when things hit pretty hard because of illness and other things in a family, that looked great. Going to the right looked great. Wow, well compensated. It could be well compensated, man. And then you sit back and you think, how do you look yourself in the mirror? How do you say, you know what? I am my brother's keeper. I am my sister's keeper. I can't do that. But you know what? There are thousands out there that are willing to do it. There are thousands out there that have done it. And that corruption, that normalization that I spoke about at the beginning of the program is occurring, continues to occur. Anyway, there's no equivalent politically tilted media systems on the left. Democratic-leaning billionaires have stayed out of the media space ever since Romney's company took down Air America. The closest TV and radio counterpart we have, and listen to these small networks that we have as progressive media, what I call truthful media. And as Tom points out, it is Free Speech TV, available on the web, Dish, Sling, Roku, Apple TV, and DirecTV. And the progressive channel on Sirius XM. His daily program is carried there. I want you guys to think about that. True progressive news can only be found in very small spots. Of course, with the advent of Substack, a lot of independent media guys that have been dumped by the corporatocracy or dumped by because again they spill too much of the truth. They've now many migrated to Substack, which I am on now as well. Substack, which is and by the way, I'm at egberto.substack.com. But again, you can also find it at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Many of us in the progressive media, because of cost, we don't have the monies to put big production companies up or whatever. So we become our own independent media spaces on platforms like Substack. And now many of us have migrated to Blue Sky and other places, right? But that's all we have, an ad hoc setup of progressive media. How do we change that? How do we ensure that 2025, when Donald Trump takes command of this country, that somehow when MSNBC is sold, which MSNBC isn't even a clean left channel, just sort of marginally left. But when MSNBC is sold, all we got, Free Speech TV, Mother Jones, The Nation, The New Republic, The Guardian, and a few other outlets, Common Dreams, Alternate, A Progressive, Democratic Underground, Daily Kos. There are not many sources compared to the right-wing indoctrination machine. And you know who solves that? Only you can. Only you can solve that by ensuring that you read and you share and you make people aware of all of those doing the work in the progressive media. That's the only way. It has to be geometric progression from the individual, or I should say exponential growth. If everyone shares 10 pieces of information every day that those of us in the progressive space put out, again, I repeat, if all of those who read a politicsdoneright.com/newsletter or a Tom Hartman or any one of these, if any of you make sure to share our content 10 times and ask each of those people to share 10 times, we start to get exponential progression of our data in the hands of people who trust you and trust those who you trust. It has to be grassroots going forward. It has to be grassroots going forward. Folks, I hope this little narrative, this little soliloquy starts to lay upon you the importance in getting the progressive media out there and getting you to be a part of it. Back at Coffee Party USA, at the time that I was a board member, we had a program called Be the Media. And what it was telling every individual was that you had to play a part. It was imperative that you play a part in getting truth to your fellow man. When you tell the truth to 10 people who trust you, it's much more effective than just them listening to Fox News because they trust you. That is one thing many of us should understand. So all of us must be the media. All of us must be sharing progressive media, and all of us must be remaining engaged with all of those, whether we like them or not, whether they're MAGA or right wing. We always have to keep that engagement and push that truth. Some of it will not be accepted, but keep pushing that truth. Keep pushing that truth. Keep pushing that truth. I tell you what, Michael Rudnin sent us a video of when Rogan showed that he was not when Rogan was not a right winger, when Rogan was not MAGA. But I don't know, maybe money talks, and maybe who knows? After getting that several $1 million contract, which I don't think he had 6 years ago, I could be wrong. But after that, it turns out that, well, we'll actually see what he thought then. So check out how down Pamela Harris, who has all those positions that he just spoke about. That is the guy who, wait a minute, that sounded like me. Oh my God. That sounded like me. Medicare for all. That sounded like me. If you break a leg, somebody's going to take care of you. Get money out of politics, the 28th Amendment. Money's not speech. Brothers and sisters, that was Rogan. That shows you the corruption of our political system. That when people get rich and they simply follow the money, not the ideology, not your ideals. That was Rogan. So my question to you, there are people who said Kamala should have done Rogan. Why would she have done Rogan? Why would she have done Rogan if she understands that Rogan went ahead and left his values to support a charlatan? And understanding that he was probably paid to make her simply further unacceptable to his 50 million listeners. Why would she do it? That was the real Rogan. But again, having the real Rogan speak is not what it's all about. It's all about money. And I tell you what, folks, if we don't capture what's really going on here, if we don't understand what's happening with our economics, if we don't understand that we are being taken advantage of, folks, it's on us. There's a FAFO. A lot of folks are complaining about FAFO because a lot of the FAFOs are blaming black men and Latino men and and the Arabs, etc., for Kamala's loss? When the answer is simply very simple, and I've given that answer already, I think it is clear why Kamala lost. And I think when we finally admit it, all the negativity from Rogan, we bring back the history of what Rogan once represented, which was the truth. One time he used to, and we start letting people go ahead and handle their own fears, um, their own prejudices. Let them expose them to it, like I had to expose myself to my own. When we get there, what Brother Rudnin had to say would be mitigated. Does that mean it will be decades before a woman of color would ever be on a Democratic ballot again? No. We need to start talking to hearts. We need to get away from the consultants who wouldn't know a working class person if they spit on them. We need to get to the core of America. We need to be honest. We need to have a lot of my white brothers and sisters in this room, not try to placate or lie to themselves or to their families, and come out and tell the truth about who they are, their prejudices. I have people that work with me at KPFT trying to mitigate racism and sexism at KPFT. And they come out boldly and they say, we have a problem that we need to solve. And Brother Lee, Kamala couldn't face Rogan. She could, but why would she? There was no reason for her to go and play on Rogan. There was none. There was no upside. And in a race, you don't do what's not going to give you an upside. But anyway, look, Rogan had it before. Rogan understood it before. And I'm sure Rogan still understands it now. But again, Donald Trump is in power. The people that empowered him, FAFO. All right. We've got a limerick from our poet laureate, El Señor Tom Zarnik. And there we go. I haven't read it yet, but I'm going to go at it raw. It goes like this. He calls it a new extended limerick / poet. Hey, my brother. Let me go ahead and read Tom's limerick first, and then then we'll talk. So hold on a second. Don't move. Let's go with the limerick. It goes like this. Trump will take us back to a time when few of us were alive. Says he will make America great again to survive and thrive. Democrats are out of the way. No need to worry and fret. Prosperity's on the way. It is not a risky bet. Life will be a cabaret without a safety net. MAGA's got a program for every woman and man. They call it Project 2025. It's really quite a plan that will transport us in a time machine to Never Never Land. When Calvin Coolidge was our president, another GOP White House resident like Trump in 1925. A postscript to keep in mind. After Coolidge came Hoover, his succession next in line, followed by the Great Depression of 1929. But after the stock market dive, FDR came to our rescue in 1932. His New Deal arrived, ensured we survived through World War II 80 years ago until 2025 when Biden steps aside and here comes Trump 2.0. No, not again. Oh man, Paul Zarnik, as usual, you nailed it. He nailed it. Brother Ray Brackens, how are you doing today, my dear sir?
I'm good, man. Just enjoying this beautiful weather. It doesn't feel like Hades outside for a change in Texas. I just wanted to say thank you for reminding us a time when Joe Rogan had balls, before he sold them off to the highest bidder, being Trump and his minions. he went just like the way of J.D. Vance, just like
Yes.
the way of, as I mentioned, RFK Jr. I don't know when you get a chance to watch that video. He fell just like one of those fleshy dominoes that RFK mentioned.
Ray,
And
before you got
speaking
there,
of
Ray,
R,
I never got your video, Ray. I never got you never sent me the link.
okay, it might be in your email. I don't know which where do you want me to send it? I
Go
think
ahead
I
and
sent
send.
it to your Hotmail or your Gmail.
Okay, if you could go ahead and send it just for so I can look for it directly, send it to info@politicsdoneright.com. Info@politicsdoneright.com. Okay?
Okay, I'll send it there.
Thank you,
And
brother.
truly, I really feel like, yeah, and truly, I really feel like we need to hold these people accountable, for the stuff that they said previously, because
Right.
they're all sellouts.
Yes.
And the grift is real. And speaking of RFK, Roland Martin had a pretty hot
Oh,
video take
I
on.
saw it last night, man. Roland Martin was cussing at everything as because we had him in front of four black guys, or I think it was four black guys or a woman. I don't remember how many. Sort of lecturing
It
them
was a
on
room
why.
of black people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was funny.
yeah. Well, he just straight up said, "F you, RFK. You got some gall telling us to be resilient after all of the lynchings, all of the cruelty, all of the separation, all of the people that died across the Atlantic, trying to, survive the slave trade. You have some nerve and some gall. And you know what? When I listen to people like Roland Martin, when I listen to old school Joe Rogan, that's what I feel on inside. If I had used my platform, like you said, I could be the bad cop. That would be who I am in a public format, because I don't feel in this day and age that it even benefits the public to bite your tongue and censor yourself, because that's not who I am. I'm not a censored person. I grew up watching WWE, watching Stone Cold Steve Austin, who I say could be the next governor of Texas if I think, there's any chance of it going Democrat. Um, but but yeah, I mean, basically, I feel like America needs to hear that unfiltered language. It seems to work very good for Donald Trump. Whenever he says what he says about people, he has no filter, and that's what people love about him. People don't want filters anymore. The only place they want filters is on their Instagram photos. But when it comes to speech, people want no filters.
That is
They want no guardrails. They want to be able to say what they want to say. They don't want to care about who it offends, what is politically correct. I love what you do, Egberto, because it's very classy. I just couldn't see myself being as disciplined as you are as far as my form of speech.
let me just say one time I long time ago, it's probably about 10 years ago, I've been playing this civil way of speaking to everybody. And one time I just got a tad bit sarcastic and upset. And if you ever heard the response that one of my friends in Kingwood came back with, "Oh my God, Egberto, I haven't." It was. I'll tell you that story in person some other time because I don't want to talk on air what I told her because she still listens to the show. But anyway, and by the
Gotcha.
way, but we'll talk about that in person. But anyway, let me go ahead and close up the show. I need to say a few things. Ray, thank you for calling in. Okay, send me that link, please.
Yes, sir. I got
All
you.
right.
Take care.
Take care. All right, folks. Hey, Tom Sarnik, I love you, man. That was a hell of a limerick that you did there. What you call an extended limerick to a poem. And by the way, Paul, I'm not sure. I'm reading your statement about since when did pasteurization become a bad word? Some of y'all did not pay attention in science class. The infant mortality rate in the U.S. dropped 125% in 1891 to 15.8 in 1925 after pasteurization. Yeah, that is raising the temperature of milk to a particular level and then to kill off bacteria and without damaging the nutritious effect of the milk. But did somebody complain about pasteurization? I mean, They complain about masks, things that are good for you, vaccines, pasteurization. Why did you put that in there, Paul? I'm curious because I want to research it. I need to research it. What you're talking about. Anyway, guys, if I didn't get you, Tommy Cruz, thanks you for being here. Tommy's a good friend of mine, a good MAGA type guy. I've been on his show several times, and he'll be on my show sometimes where we can slap him around a bit. We'll slap him around with love. But anyway, Paul, tell me what we're talking about though. Who complained about pasteurization? I know they talk about raw milk and all of that, which is crazy. First of all, cows ideally weren't made for milk wasn't made for human consumption, but if you're going to drink it, you may want to make sure it is safe. All right, folks. Before we get out of here, I need to ask you to please support the program. And how can you do that? You can support our program by becoming a subscriber of our newsletter. Kennedy is a proponent of raw milk. I got you, Magner. I did know he was a proponent of Magner. Yeah, thank you, my brother Patrick. All right, folks. Look, please support the program however you can. The one way you can support the program is becoming a paid subscriber of our newsletter. And to do that, just go to politicsandright.com/newsletter, politicsandright.com/newsletter. And if you don't want to do it via the newsletter, there are many other options for you to choose to support the program. You can do that by going to politicsandright.com/support, politicsandright.com/support. But again, right now we're trying to build up. We only have about 240 something current subscribers. We have over 17,000, if I recall, subscribers to our newsletter. Of that 17,000, only about, I think, 240 folks or so are subscribers. We actually need between 1,500 and 2,000 for me to get some help in here, subscribers of the newsletter. So if you can, please consider becoming a subscriber of our newsletter by going to politicsandright.com/newsletter, politicsandright.com/newsletter. And I have that in the chat and I'll have it elsewhere. Hey, Thanksgiving is coming, Christmas time is coming. Why not buy a subscription for a friend of yours if you already have a subscription? Again, it's worth it. It helps us get our message out and it makes us do the right thing. Look, guys, I love you all, left, right, in the middle, or otherwise. We got to get this country going in the right direction. We have to make sure that people are cared for. And that is my personal, that is the little bit that I do. That is my sole goal. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number one, subscribe to our channel, and number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans